What is going on? I'm over at the one and only Lake Wonderland once again. I could never ever get enough of this place. Ever. It is an absolute scorcher today. Weather indicates that it's around 82 degrees, a 6-mile-an-hour wind, and 52% humidity. Today is going to be an ordinary fishing day. However, I have a goal in mind. I want my personal best ever. But before I start casting, I would like to go through some of the equipment that I use, some of the lures that I use, and maybe just like a short review. So right now what I'm using, an Ugly Stick GX2. It's a 7-foot medium heavy fast action rod. And the reel that I'm using is a Fluger Supreme. It's a 10 bearing spinning reel. I've had this thing for about 4 years and it hasn't ever failed me. This is a very inexpensive reel, very low maintenance, and I highly recommend it for anybody that uses a spin rod. I love using these type of lures. This is a Booyah Pad Crasher. I also like to use 5-inch Senkos, 10-inch power baits, and 3.5-inch ribbit frogs. And the knot that I like to use with these frogs is the Palomar knot. And I'm going to show you how to tie that knot right now. So first off, you want to take your tag end and fold it in half along with the line. Pinch this loop together, put it right through your eye. Take this loop, put this around your finger, and then you want to take your tag end. Make sure your line is tight so it's easy to manage. Take your tag end and bring it to the left and bring it inward like this. And then you want to insert your thumb into both of these loops and grab the first one. Take this loop right here and you want to bring it around your whole lure. This is going to be your knot. Just bring it all together. Make sure it's tight. Pull on here. Make sure it's tight again. And then you want to remove your tag end. Just like this. And there you have a Palomar knot. It is one of the strongest knots that I have used with these frogs. As you notice, the legs on this frog are shorter. I recommend clipping them down to about an 1.5 inches to 2 inches, just so then you have a higher hookup ratio. Because when a fish comes up and you got the legs that are 4 inches long, they're gonna come in and bite the legs, mimicking that you have a bite on your hook, when in all actuality they're just grabbing onto the leg, and then you go to set your hook and then it's gone. The type of line that I'm using is a trilene monofilament 14-pound line. I go anywhere from using 10-pound line all the way up to 17-pound line. Alright, let's see if I can catch a nice little piggy. Oh yeah, always try to remember that if you're wearing a backward snapback, flip it frontward or you're gonna have the worst tan line ever. When it comes to really sunny days like this, you want to typically stay in the shade. But there are a lot of lily pads out here, and they do provide shade underneath the water for where the structure of lily pads are. So always cast out towards there, play around with the pads. If they don't seem to be biting, keep casting. Change up your retrieval, like slow it down, give it a couple pops, maybe even speed it up. So after about 25 casts, I'm realizing that they're not biting. I could either A, relocate to a different spot with this same lure, or B, you can switch out your lure to something else that they feed on, whether it be a worm or a shad. I don't know if you just saw that splash over there. Anyways, what I was saying is that there's nothing ever wrong with changing out your lure. I'm going to be switching up to a 3/0 wide gap hook, black, with a 10-inch blue power bait worm that has red and blue specks. Now I don't have this tied onto my line yet, but let me show you how I hook it up. So you you got the bottom of the worm right here, and you got your wide gap end right here. You want to take that, put it right down in there, bring it right to the elbow, bring it back out, bring it forward, up, be sure to turn it around, and then you'll have something that looks like this. And then you want to take this end right here, flip it around if it helps, take this end right here, pinch it right about to the length of where it stops right here, bring that forward, up just like that, bring it to where it looks like this, and then you want to make it weedless by pinching this and moving it forward and putting that right in there. And then you have a really good setup, and this should land a fatty. The bass seem very active on a day like today. I'm seeing a lot of V-wakes, fish jumping out of the water, fish striking at dragonflies. I am anticipating landing a big one like very, very soon. Just like with the frog, there are many ways you can use this. You can cast out and do a slow retrieval, medium, or even fast. You can skim it across the top of the water. Or you can cast it out, let it drop down all the way to the bottom. You can either let it skim across the bottom like this, or give it some pops, just like that. What would really help with those movements would be a bullet weight on the top right here. I prefer to use a tungsten 1/8 ounce. It's heavy enough to sink down, but it's not too heavy to where you have a lot of hang-ups. I think it's time now to realize that there's too much sun in this area. So what you would want to do is try to find an area that's shady. The bass feel less vulnerable, and that's exactly where you're going to find them. But you don't always have to find a shady spot. If you can find an area where there's really deep water, that will work just as well. Let your worm or your lure sink all the way down to the bottom and just kind of play around with it. Always double check your worm too to make sure that it is weedless. See, that was good. I let it sink down, chill, gave it a couple little pops, and I had something grab onto it. I didn't get to set the hook on him, but that's okay. Just try it again. I switched up the worm using a 5-inch peanut butter and jelly Senko. This is a Gander Mountain brand. These actually work pretty well. As you see, they have like a lot of movement. They have this weedless spot right here. So when you put your hook through, you can just bring it right up here and bury it right in there. So then it's weedless. And you want to get as many hang-ups. Yep. So there we have it. You know, sometimes you just gotta switch up the lures, play around with them, and see what works. This was on a white Gander Mountain frog. Nice pretty little bass. Yeah. Oh yeah. Ho-ho. Bass. Alright, I've been at this spot for a little bit. I'm just going to take a walk somewhere. I decided to move back where I originally started. Where I was standing over there, I saw a lot of movement over here. And I'm hoping whatever's over here explodes on this thing. So I've decided to relocate to another area of the same lake. I'm about 400 yards away from where I was. This spot right here is actually across the street from the parking lot of the main part of the lake. This part of the lake at this time generally has more shade. It's a lot cooler, and of course it's a different spot to fish. So let's see what we can pull out of here. Oh. Alright, so I just had this fish go after my frog twice, and he missed both times. See if I can scoop him up. I'm switching up gear. I'm going to use my bait caster. I got a 7.1 gear ratio Daiwa Takara on a 6.6 medium Gander Mountain Vortex rod. I've been using this setup for going on 3 years now, and it's still really good. Alright folks, unfortunately I gotta stop. I haven't been feeling good the last couple days and it's starting to catch up to me. I've been really congested and sore throat, starting to lose energy, can't breathe, headaches. So unfortunately mission personal best is on a halt until next time. But hey, I want to thank everybody for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that thumbs up. Also follow us on Instagram, and I'll see you guys next time.